What's up, guys? Welcome back to our second episode of the new and improved Not So Round Table. We're joined once again by a special guest, Tim from Krytac and KRISS USA. Tim, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Been a minute since you were here. Yeah. So things might look a little bit different to you. We've changed helms of reasoning. We've gotten a lot of new questions.
Still
Those
the
are
same
going
name,
in.
Though.
Still the same name. It's just the Helm 2.0. It's like this is NSRT 2.0 or something.
We basically found another niche that we
helmet.
could throw on that.
Pretty much.
Okay.
This just had less straps and stuff to get in the way, and we could attach more accessories to it.
Gotcha.
Although we had iPro on it last time, and those are missing now.
Safety first.
Chris.
Miguel's fault.
Miguel.
It's Miguel's fault. Actually,
Anyway.
I think it really is Miguel's fault this time. But you can't see it because the vector's in the way anyway.
Yeah. So let's start off our second episode with a discussion topic. You recently went to Japan on
Yes.
behalf of Krytac and
Yes.
KRISS, or on behalf of Laylax and Krytac. Tell us about that.
It was on behalf of Krytac. They had Laylax, our partners out in Japan, had a huge event called the Krytac Owners Meeting, and it was actually the first of its kind in the country, where they invited all of the Krytac owners in the region to the Tokyo Sabaje Park out there, and it's a really great field that they have, and basically just have airsoft and raffles and just a huge event. It was really, really interesting to see and play in Japan, where airsoft originated from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so then, everybody there obviously had a Krytac.
Yeah, everybody that came had a Krytac, so there were some. I think they capped it off at about 200 people because the park's capacity, anything more than that wouldn't have been as fun to play with. But the way that they organize the gameplay, and there really is something to their one jewel rule, how they play out there. When everybody has a gun that's one jewel, you play a little bit differently because you're not really afraid to get hit. It's not that painful. And so I found that when I was out on the field, I was like really aggressive because I was like, oh, dude, it's only one jewel. Who cares?
Well, plus, tag watch. It's not like you forget.
Yeah. CQB is kind of my forte, but just the fact that, I don't know. It kind of changes your mentality a little bit. You can't shoot as far, obviously. You don't have the FPS to really reach out. But the way that the park was set up, you're only shooting between under 100 feet anyway, which, a one jewel gun can do pretty easily.
So then, out of curiosity, Laylax being your partner in Japan, they're primarily an accessories and upgrades brand.
Yeah.
How does that work for you guys with them, being an aftermarket parts supplier and bringing your product in as an importer? Or
it works really well for us because Laylax is known for building high quality components, but they can only do so much if they're not put into a good quality platform.
True.
And so the synergy between our two companies works really well because their parts work really well with our platform, and they enjoy building stuff for our platform because, number one, there's not much that they have to do, but the stuff that they do makes a huge difference in the appearance and the look of the gun. It really allows people to make the Krytac their own because there's not much you can do internally. You can't make your gun shoot any harder. That's illegal, right? But there are other things you can do for trigger response, rate of fire, those type of things that aren't regulated, and that's kind of where they are strong.
Yeah. Well, speaking of accessories, when you have 200 of the same brand on the field, do you start to see a repetition of style, or are there really 200 different unique ways that people have assembled, outfitted, and kitted out there?
People have definitely gotten really creative. A lot of different colorways. People Cerakoting their guns a lot of different colors. Laylax, they have their own.
Geez.
Yeah, they have their own in-house Cerakote team where they take a gun, Cerakote it to make it look like an attack helicopter. With the mouth and the teeth and stuff like that.
Being Japan, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
No,
that
dude,
doesn't surprise me when you think about it, but that is insane that some people will put that much attention to detail into.
No, they do.
But, that's
They
like
do.
the
And
hobby over there.
The players love it too, and they spend a lot of money on to have a Cerakote gun that's really unique, and that was another thing that was kind of surprising is that the price point is elevated quite a bit.
Right.
To have like a super premium gun in Japan is kind of pricey, but that's what the market likes out there, and the players enjoy it, and everybody likes having their own gun that's unique to them, and so it's pretty awesome to see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we can't spend the whole episode talking about your Japan trip. Obviously, you're here for a reason to answer questions as posed by airsofters all over the net. If you remember on the show, it's kind of tradition that the guest starts us off.
Okay.
I know that you did a kind of question throughout, the availability of answering questions on your Reddit, and I know you brought some of those questions with you, so feel free
Reddit,
to
but sure.
feel free to answer some of those if those are in there. Otherwise,
We just tossed a couple of them in here, just to kind of get the community and Reddit involved a little bit, and hopefully some of them are watching. So that's kind of the idea.
George and I were just talking about maybe needing to use Reddit for Airsoft.
I mean, the community is pretty cool out there, and I think you guys might like it if you jump
Well, I did
in.
an AMA, 2 years ago.
Might be time to do an update for that.
Now you have the time to do another AMA. So
Yeah,
I
there
think
you
maybe
go.
it's time. That
It just
we do,
evolved very quickly.
we
into
do another
non-Airsoft
AMA.
related questions.
I mean, that's kind of the point, though. I mean, we have lives outside of Airsoft, outside the Airsoft field, and sometimes people can connect with that.
Mm-hmm.
Some people like finding things that are like unique to you that they like as well. It makes them feel more connected to you.
I remember Alan was very upset about my AMA.
Alan Lau? I need to go back and read your AMA because I don't even think
It was about that other brand.
Oh, okay.
They were like, "What do you think about this brand?" And I was like,
Alan,
"It's not a good day."
Alan does feel very strongly about the good old days. So, anyway, we'll get to the first question. This is from Derek Wilson. Very straightforward screen name. That's very easy to read. Over the years of playing, what have you seen change the most within the airsoft industry? For the best or for the worst? Love the show. Keep it up. Ooh, this is pretty deep, actually.
This is really deep. This could go on for a while, it's a very good question.
The first, there's a lot of things that have changed in the industry. The first thing that comes to mind was something that happened kind of right after I started getting into it, is the prevalence of more affordable guns and the expansion of airsoft, because it really used to be a really tight, close-knit community, and it was really, everybody knew each other, everybody went to the same places to play. But once you started getting guns that were $200, $150, $100 that were more affordable, we started seeing a lot more players on the field. Whether it was for better or for worse, I want to say the expansion of the sport is definitely for better. One thing that would be nice is some sort of system to bring in the new players to kind of cultivate their attitudes maybe a little bit differently than just kind of let them run free and do whatever they wanted. But that's probably the first thing that comes to mind as far as what's changed, since I jumped into this.
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing, because when Echo 1 started coming out, I think that's like the first ones. It was kind of like that sub $200 price point. That really brought in a lot of newer players, a lot younger players. The problem is like what we see now, and it's the same thing that happened in paintball, is the new player comes out with his $200 gun, playing against a $700 gun, gets wrecked, doesn't want to play anymore, and quits. Like, I think that's still a prevalent problem, and it's not just related to HPA users, even though, like, HPA is definitely that $700 gun right now that everybody can get. The same thing happened with paintball. And
I don't think the disparity was really with the performance, because the thing that really kind of set those $150 guns apart in like the 2005, 2006 time frame was the fact that they were so cheap, but they could compete, because there were guns available at that time.
Yes. But I'd say now, it's I'm thinking of more of like now with HPA or with DSG setups being much more prevalent.
That's definitely something
you kind of have like these almost like you're outgunning, not outskilling a player. That's not saying that you can't outskill a player with a good gun. That's obviously not true, but I think some new players get a little bit turned off when they enter the field.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
that's what they encounter.
That's what they're up against.
Versus maybe playing on their own level with their own players first.
True.
And then
True.
Because back then, I think you'll agree, people did have high RPS guns, but they'd break every time you used them.
Not every time.
The availability of parts was not
not as
prevalent.
good.
Yeah, and so the engineering has come a long way as well, and that's the same with everything: cars, phones, whatever. How
about you, Matt?
I don't know. I mean, I think you guys probably covered the two biggest changes. I've noticed a mentality shift in airsoft, just in general. I feel like when I started, and back when I met you, there were really not a whole lot of outdoor fields, or for that matter, a concentration on the military aspect of airsoft. It was much more pickup game oriented, and I think as we've had a real explosion in military themed video games and movie productions and culture. We've seen a lot more military centric airsoft gameplay and interest, and not that that's a bad thing. I think that there's a place for both of them, but I think that I think that the newer generation that sees airsoft as a training implement, and as a military themed hobby, need to respect, the guys that don't feel like that's their deal.
The polarization.
Yeah, I'm really seeing a lot of
That was
polarization, and I
happening,
don't
like,
think
5 or
it's
6 years ago. I mean, that's something that sometimes I noticed a long time. This was at an Operation Lion Claws event. Is some people just forget like airsoft how it originated,
Right.
and so they're kind of some people will have that elitist mentality of
Right.
looking down upon people who like
Right.
to speed soft.
And for
there's
example,
nothing wrong with speed soft
Right.
at all.
well. I mean, no one's forcing you to play, so don't try to get rid of it. If you don't play, you don't play.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it has to do with culture too. I think we have a very narrow view of airsoft because we're here in America and we have a very
That's true.
specific outlook, and so worldwide may be completely different. I know you just went to Japan and they like to trick out their guns and make them look really cool, and that doesn't necessarily fit with the military theme, and that's really cool and really accepted there.
Yeah.
I don't know that would be popular here or in the UK, but I think that is very much a part of airsoft and a part of the culture, and I think that should be just as accepted as its counterpart. So
it's interesting that you bring it up. I mean, because we're kind of talking about how airsoft is viewed across cultures, and so I do think that in America it is kind of military centric, maybe because we have it's just part of our
Right.
culture. In Japan, it's like a game,
Right.
It's kind of like you get off work one day, you go shoot your friends for a little bit, and then you go home and make dinner, and it's just kind of like something you do,
Right.
Like the airsofters aren't called players out there; they call each other gamers.
yeah, gotcha.
So
Okay.
it's just a different.
That was very good question.
Yes, totally. Derek Wilson.
All right, George, you want to hit us up with another one?
I expected there to be a lot more like fluff to the question, so you can just grab one. You have to really.
Yeah.
Well, this is a very long one. Francisco Valquez. Sorry if I'm butchering your name. I know I am. What's a good platform for a DMR? Is what he's asking.
Who goes first?
George?
I would say that if you're building, like, it kind of depends what you want to do. If you want something that's going to be easy to build, you stick with a standard AR platform and you just build it up, or maybe even M14 platform and build it up. If you want something unique, I would go with something that's like a 308 base. Even though you're just using a 6mm BB, at least like you get that kind of like feel that it is a
308
real,
magazine.
like you're using an SR25, you're using a Scar Heavy, you're using something a 417, you're using something that realistically could be a DMR. Mm-hmm. So that's just my thoughts.
I will almost always go with the most pragmatic way to go about it. So like you said, you're shooting a 6mm BB. For me, it doesn't make any sense to have an SR25 or anything. I would build it off of an AR platform. Yeah. The availability of parts are there. Yeah. The selection of, well, of course I would only use a Krytac, but for somebody else that's in the market for it, there's a wide variety of directions you can go with an AR platform.
Matt agrees.
Well, I disagree. Actually, I would not pick an AR because I'm trying to get away from that a little bit. If I'm doing a DMR, I want it to be somewhat unique because I feel like my AR platforms are my rifles, and that's what I use them for. If it was me, I've seen really, really incredibly reliable builds made of the version 7 gearbox in the M14 and the SOC 16 series. I think they're really, really good platforms. They handle a hell of a lot of wear and tear, and you've got a form factor that allows for a long barrel and tons of battery space, and you really don't see enough of them on the field. Additionally, I'm going to bring back from the dead one of the dinosaurs of the airsoft industry that was really popular when I started, which is the G3 series.
I was about to say, I'm surprised you didn't lead off with the G3.
Like, I've got a G3 that that's been in pieces for years, that I threw a Nitro Vo front end on and a Swordfish, muzzle brake. It looks super unique. Really not a DMR platform, but I would really like to see a resurgence of the G3 platform. It really is a solid platform, great feeding magazines. But I still only have high caps because it never remained popular. I don't know of a whole heck of a lot of mid caps that are available for the G3. So, you guys are the G3 fans out there with your long-barreled, full-size G3 and T3 platforms. Let's see them. Let's see those DMRs coming back out. Because it's a large form factor magazine, so it'll fit in all your 308 carriers. Well, moving on.
It is way too early for that. For Matt's excitement.
I had a really good
you
coffee
had
this
coffee.
morning.
I still, my caffeine is not
What does
kicked
that
in
mean?
yet.
Y-6
Oh, I
Rabbit.
think this is a Reddit one, right?
Oh, I think this is, you're right. That's a Reddit one.
Maybe.
Okay. What are your thoughts on compact and subcompact gas blowbacks in Airsoft? Could they be useful in Milsim as a hidden backup? What are your thoughts on a game mode with cops, criminals, and civilians where having a gun concealed would be much more important than in the middle of a battle?
Whew, that's long.
That's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of questions in one.
Oh, do I go first?
Well, I mean, okay, so I guess I'll start.
Yeah.
Compact and subcompact gas blowbacks. I mean, at that point, you might as well run a pistol. To be honest, if you're not doing it for the realism of having a rifle, I feel like in Airsoft, a pistol's going to get you the same range.
I think you might be referring to having a pistol.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Could it be useful in Milsim as a backup? Okay, to answer, in my opinion, if you're using a pistol, a subcompact or a compact or a full-size pistol will probably perform about the same for your engagement distance.
Right. Okay.
So
Like the 4.3 versus the 5.1, or
So performance-wise for shooting, I don't think it makes a whole lot of difference. Are they useful in Milsim as a hidden backup? I think it depends on your game scenario. Thoughts on a game mode with cops, criminals, and civilians? I have always thought it would be really cool to have a more theatrical type of game setup where the Op4 isn't playing, they're playing a role.
Right. So an actor that's being,
Yeah. And in that situation, I think having a concealed gun, not on your person or something, would be really cool to have. Pragmatically, though, I don't know anybody that would pay the kind of money to do that.
Or put the level of participation that everybody would need to have that mentality. I mean, we've understood this with filming a lot with Node, and actually Dean and I talked a little bit about it yesterday. Some people play to win, and there's some people who play for the experience.
Yeah.
And you have to get everybody to have that mindset of I'm playing for the experience of all, not just to win.
I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, Matt does not know how to do this. Matt will always find a way to game the game.
I think the closest thing to that might be the AMS Dam missions, where they kind of take you a part of the main battle and have a scenario you need to achieve.
What's it called? I remember Jet, when he had his indoor field years ago, used to run a zombie game every Halloween in which someone would lead you through an infected zone, and you had paid actors who were there just to die. But there was a theme to it, and there was a story progression that you had to go through. I think that's kind of along the lines of what you're doing. Not that I think that everyone needs to do a zombie game.
No.
But I think the story aspect of it, and kind of being led through an environment in which you need to engage a set group of actors that will be there every time, who aren't necessarily there to shoot you or kill you to ruin your experience. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Milsim West has their insurgency.
Yeah, the insurgency thing was pretty cool. But I mean,
Ryan, if you couldn't hear him, was talking about Milsim West's insurgency.
It's only been run once so far, and it was very interesting. And once you see it progress more and more, it might be one of those things where that community takes role playing to a whole nother level, and so maybe that is kind of the style of maybe they could do something like this.
Where having a concealed gun, it's not really obvious you're wearing it. Maybe you want to wear something inside the waistband, could be useful for
they had that. They had it like where the military was going in and like kicking down doors and searching for weapons and stuff. So you had to have like stuff hidden. Like people had like secret guns and secret stashes of currency and stuff like that. So it was a different mindset of the game. So it was really cool.
People are tucking information. You gotta search them for it.
I don't know. I was doing a different role playing experience. With that,
Stop that.
It was very interesting to say the least, and I'm looking forward to it coming back to George Air Force Base in September, October. I don't know when it's coming out.
All right,
cool.
You want to answer another question?
One more. One more till the break.
Let's see here. We have respect everyone.
That's a good idea.
That's a really good idea.
Hey, insert from Ireland. Thinking of buying a bolt-action sniper rifle, potentially the TM VSR. So what are your opinions on bolt-action sniper rifles, and which would you go for? By the way, FPS limit is 328 as a side note.
Jeez, that's not very high at all.
For a bolt-action sniper rifle with 328.
That means that you really want to run this bolt action, don't you? Without the ability to shoot at a much higher FPS, your advantage is severely decreased. The TM VSR-10, though, is a good choice.
I agree. I think the TM VSR-10 for a bolt-action gun is probably a solid choice. Again, availability of parts Lilacs makes a grip of stuff available for the TM-VSR.
Yeah, actually I use their Lilac Zero trigger in my VSR10.
There you go.
Yeah.
Boom. But only 328 FPS. I guess it's all relative, though. If everybody's running 328 FPS, then I don't really see the point in that at all. But if everyone else is only running 150 and you're shooting twice as hard, then I guess a bolt action makes sense.
You have to have that range advantage for the fact that you're using a bolt action. Like, that is something that you have to have.
Or maybe he's so good that he doesn't mind giving himself that handicap. I don't know.
Right.
Watch everybody running around with like 400.
She's like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Interesting question.
Yeah. I mean, dude, if you're going that low FPS, like I wouldn't even. Honestly, I don't think I'd spend the money on a TM.
That's
I
also a consideration.
I would just buy a JG Bar 10 for, $50 less.
Mm-hmm.
Since you're gonna have to drop the spring out of it anyway to go the lower power spring, because out of the box they're all gonna shoot a little harder than 328, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Is he even going to be able to find a spring that's going to be able to shoot that?
Yeah. It's just gonna be you're gonna pull it back like it's a gas powered sniper rifle, but it won't be.
Well, at least your arm won't get tired.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to go to a quick commercial break featuring Krytac.
Oh, great. Cool.
Yeah.
It's our commercial.
Yeah.
It's just one we made up really quick. Don't judge us.
Thanks to Krytac for sponsoring this episode of the Not So Round Table. Krytac KRISS Vector AEG, released in 2017, features a really cool gearbox, a quality set of internals, upgradability, and unmatched performance. To find out more about the KRISS Vector AEG, you can check their social media or find it here at Evike.com. If you'd like to win a free KRISS Vector AEG, purchase a Krytac product between now and the end of February to be entered in a giveaway contest featuring 40 items, including a KRISS Vector AEG, through Krytac's social media. Thanks again to Krytac. Now back to the show. Welcome back. Continuing our questions. George, do you want to take one out of the helm of reason? The Helm 2.0.
The Helm 2.0?
Yeah.
This is another Reddit question from a guy with a lot of letters in his name that says Ed05 Brent. I'm just going to leave it at that. What is the hardest part of the Vector's development? Like, what parts gave you the most trouble figuring it out? Edit. I have a second question. Any plans for Krytac M4 mags?
So,
Question one.
No plans for Krytac M4 mags. Just knock that one out right off the bat. The Vector development, definitely the internals were the most challenging.
Because of the space, the form
Exactly.
factor, right?
So we had to develop the gearbox from scratch, basically. And, if you take an existing gearbox design, it's not ever going to fit in there. So rearranging the gears and the motor, and when we release more information about the internals, and when we do the breakdown of it, you guys will see how compact it is in there. And, the Vector looks like there's a lot of space inside. It looks like it should be pretty easy, but you have to leave room for the magazine and the airflow.
Well, so how did you do the bent cylinder? Like, do you have a bent cylinder head?
I can't tell you yet.
But how did you get it to connect to Wi-Fi and Android and your phones?
I can't tell you that yet either. No, it doesn't connect.
I keep trying.
You need to stop doing that.
I was like, wait a minute, what I miss?
No. Okay, so the electronic trigger switch in there is not that advanced that it can connect to the internet.
One day.
Yeah,
it'll be able to check your weather and adjust your rounds for a second.
Well, I mean, we have a. I mean, never mind. I'm not going to plug something right now, but we do have one gun that is going to have that feature.
Sweet.
To plug in Bluetooth.
Vector does not.
So suffice it to say, internally developing the gearbox with regard to the shape and using standardized components for the most part.
So yeah,
presented a challenge.
That was one of the things that we wanted to do, is make sure that parts availability would be there, parts support, not just from us, but people could get a different set of gears if they wanted to, a different piston, and it would drop in. So of course we could have developed everything from the ground up, and it would have been much easier from that perspective, because we don't have to take into consideration anything else. But we did take into consideration the specifications of existing parts on the market that we wanted to be compatible as much as possible with the gun, so that the community would have the availability to upgrade, tweak.
What parts then are compatible with standard gearbox?
So standard gearbox parts: the gear set, the piston
piston head,
and the components related to that, like the cylinder. The cylinder head is not, But I think the most important things are if you strip a gear or strip a piston, you can get anything else you want out of there.
that's
Okay, so
the main
those
thing.
are the components that are under the most stress inside the gearbox, and so those are the ones that'll typically break if you're tinkering and tuning and wanting to fine tune and boost the FPS or something
And
like
spring
that.
as well, I assume.
The spring, yeah, I mean it's a regular AEG spring, so there's nothing special
Additionally,
about that.
if you already have a Krytac like the PDW,
Yes.
and you want to upgrade the barrel,
Yes.
either of the platforms, either the Vector or the PDW, they use the same length inner barrel, which is
Yes.
great because the Lalax barrel that's being offered for your products,
Exactly.
it's already pre-upgraded,
Yeah.
fits in both of those.
And there's a little caveat with the Lalax barrels. They're made for the Krytac guns, but they work on other AEGs as well. So if you want to have that bigger hop-up window, if you want to tune, I know that customizing your hop-up with all these alphabet soup letters is kind of a popular thing now. It's kind of already made for that.
Right.
Nice.
And it's much easier to do that because the
that's
hop-up
really-
window
that's
is
really
already
cool.
built much larger. So it's made for our guns because those are the specifications we use to build the OEM guns.
Right.
But if you wanted to use those Lalax barrels in your other AEG, feel free to do it.
And conveniently, you guys use a standardized length for your
Yeah.
barrels. So
Yeah.
as long as you're using another platform of the same length.
Yeah,
Drop
and we
shot.
have a variety of lengths available if you wanted to extend the inner barrel past your stock barrel.
Up into the bird cage like I used to do.
Hey, one of my guns is like that. Don't judge.
I don't know,
It's still
somebody's
like
talking
that. You
crap
see a
on the
little
internet
piece of
about it.
silver that's wrapped in electrical tape.
All right, Nightcrawler 111. Hi, I love Insert. I love the show. Oh, hi Insert. I love the show. Keep it on. I just started to play Airsoft like 5 months ago, and I was wondering what type of pistol should I get? A gas blowback or a CO2 blowback? Well, it depends. Is it a Sphinx?
There's no Sphinx.
He's just trying to troll.
There's
the
only
entire-
one in existence, and it's a prototype.
One day I'll sneak into Alan's office and steal it.
Well, you may not have to. We might make something like that from the future.
Yeah, okay. All right. I'll contain
You
myself.
just trolled everybody else now, Tim.
No, it's true. We might do it.
You might.
So CO2
might.
versus
Operative word.
green gas really depends on what you're willing to carry around with you, whether you want to carry a bottle of green gas or you want to carry a package of 12-gram CO2 cartridges. And with regard to your FPS limits at the field at which you play. If you're limited to about 350, CO2 is probably going to shoot a little bit harder than that. So that isn't your best option, obviously. But if you're playing outdoor, and
Most
like at a
CO2
milsim op,
Most CO2 pistols, some not some of the revolvers, but most of the CO2 pistols shoot under 350s.
Oh, okay.
My 1911
In
tag.
my mind, I'm
my
thinking
1911 tag
the
does
Dan
shoot under
Wesson
350.
700.
Yeah, no, you're thinking
700?
Dude, that's not.
It's not.
It's like
700
500
FPS.
FPS.
Exaggerated.
Everybody's just like, "Where's the damn Weston? I want it."
It blows a hole through sheet metal.
Jeez.
But yeah, that's I guess yeah. So I guess
It
they're
comes down to
under-
personal preference, like you
Yeah.
said. I would say that if you're playing in areas that are cooler, I would use CO2. If you're playing in normal California, use green gas.
normal.
Normal
I'd say
California.
we're not the norm. What do people use in Japan?
Mostly the HFC 134A gas. They don't even use green gas because it's too powerful.
What?
They have a different gas.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
That's
can't
just like
even
so
imagine
sad right now. Matt
green
doesn't know what
gas
to
being
say.
too powerful.
No,
Matt
it
doesn't
is.
know what to
We're
say.
over here like, please get us black gas immediately.
Yeah, it's not all about shooting super hard in Japan. It's just go tag your friends and then go home.
I see.
Yeah, here it's
Everybody wants to bring the pain in America.
I mean, is it about winning in Japan?
Kind of.
I don't
no,
think I
it's
should
really,
play
it's
Airsoft
really
in
about
Japan.
bringing pain.
It's
in
not.
anything.
It's not even really called airsoft in Japan. They call them survival games.
I don't think Japan is for me with regard to Airsoft.
You need to go play. You need to go play because you're used to playing aggressively and how we used to play.
Yeah.
Back in the day. You're at a significant strategic and skills advantage. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because like you're not afraid to get hit in
Right.
Japan, so they don't really use cover that great. I noticed.
All right. You want to
Yeah.
grab another question?
Okay. All right.
Russell.
Russell Crowe.
Got another one from Reddit from X3Z8.
Gear Diva.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what
forgot
that
it's
is
the
either,
flavor.
but
anyway,
it's interesting.
The question is, when are you planning on updating the Trident line again? And will that update include internal upgrades such as the fabled spring decompression?
Or Wi-Fi connectability.
Stop, Matt.
Why do you want Wi-Fi?
It's Bluetooth. Is what you
or
want.
Bluetooth? Yeah.
I have no idea.
Just
He's just trolling you.
stop being dumb.
Okay.
Okay, so the Trident line will likely not change much from where it is now with the Trident Mark II. But what I will say is that something that we touched on in Vegas during our media presentation that you guys were at that we didn't really dive too much into that I can now is the Poseidon project is going to be a huge step ahead of where the Trident is now. So the Poseidon project is going to be an M4 AR gun, but it's going to be the premium materials, premium performance, and it's going to be obviously the much more premium price point than the Trident is. So the Trident as your go-to for if you want to play Airsoft and have a good performing gun definitely is going to be your go-to. But the Poseidon project that we're working on is what you really want if you want to have that competitive advantage on the field, not just with the performance, but also with the build materials and having a premium gun. So if you can imagine what you would take a regular Trident Mark II and build it into. That's kind of where we're going with the Poseidon project.
It's cool.
Yeah, as far as using our firearms connection and manufacturing types and qualities there, we're going to be putting that into the Poseidon project with a lot of stuff being CNC'd from billet and hand assembled in a similar way that our Sphinx pistols and the Vectors put together.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that. I think that's probably the most exciting, for me anyway, product that's going to be coming out in the very near future from us is the Poseidon M4.
And is that something we're going to see this year, or?
We should. Okay. We've already begun. I mean, because the manufacturing process is not too dissimilar from making the other airsoft guns. It's just a step above as far as attention to detail and quality and just acquiring the materials.
Gotcha.
So it's not overly difficult. It's not going to be re-engineered. It's not going to be anything revolutionary. You know, it's going to be an M4. But the performance is out of the box is going to be another step above where the Trident Mark II is, and the quality of materials and the fit and finish when you get the gun is going to be something more similar to what you would expect a firearm to be like versus an airsoft gun.
Gotcha.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of the idea behind the Poseidon project. Oh, and again, reverse compatibility with existing stuff. The idea behind the Poseidon project also is to use this as a platform for the gears that we're going to be making, the piston that we're going to be making, so that you can take OEM stuff that's OEM for the Poseidon, put it in your gun if you can't afford the whole Poseidon gun, and you can have something that performs at a similar
Oh,
price
sure,
point.
okay.
Yeah.
So being able to upgrade your existing platform piecemeal.
Yeah, so let's
Gotcha.
say I already had a Trident. I didn't want to spend the X amount of dollars to get a whole new Poseidon gun. I can take the gears, I can take the piston, and all that other stuff that we're going to be making for that gun, drop it in my other gun. I'll have something that's performing at about the same level.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Mm-hmm. So that's what you say is the most exciting thing that you have coming up, even over this.
For me personally.
For you personally.
For me personally. I mean, I think that the Vector is a fantastic platform, that it's brand new. But again, I'm a little bit more of a pragmatist. I like the M4 platform. I've been using it my whole airsoft career. And so when it comes to just picking up a gun, going out on the field and playing with it,
really
the
can't.
different manual of arms for the Vector is something that's, it takes learning. It's not something that's intuitive for me versus picking up any old AR and being able to go to the field and be effective.
Got it.
Yeah, but definitely the Vector is exciting. I definitely am going to own one. I would own the firearm. It might surprise some of you that I work for Chris and I don't own the actual firearm, but because that this is actually the short version of it, I would definitely am excited to get one of those.
As soon as you
I
move
can
out
see
of
that.
California.
Well, I can have the airsoft gun either way.
Oh, yeah.
But,
That's
I
what
mean,
he was saying.
Yeah, in
He doesn't want
California.
to get the. He
Yeah.
doesn't want to get the.
I don't want to get the real gun because the long one just does it's cool, but it doesn't really.
Well,
appeal
especially
to
since
me.
you get to
Is it
shoot
cool,
the Vector
though?
anytime you really want.
That's also
like,
true.
And you can also, because you don't own it, it could be in a
Yeah.
specification that you like.
Yeah.
So it does
Yeah.
make sense that you don't own one.
Yeah, exactly. But the SMG airsoft gun is definitely on my to own list.
Gotcha. Well, before we let you go, you've got a lot of stuff here on the table, all of which is up for grabs.
Yeah.
Something new that we're doing on NSRT 2.0 is a set of giveaways. Tim was nice enough to bring us quite a few items of swag that we're going to be giving away on our Facebook at Airsoft Evike on the Facebook .com. Those will be announced on Friday. So this Friday, tune into our Facebook where we're going to be announcing, giving away quite a few things. Everything from stickers and pins and patches to Lilacs, upgrade parts, as well as some really cool hats.
Yeah.
But importantly, you are also doing a giveaway.
We're giving away a lot of stuff.
So let's talk about your promotion and how people can get involved with the Krytac promotion.
So what we're doing for the month of February is a sweepstakes where you can actually win a KRISS Vector.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah, so we're
Okay.
giving away, in addition to giving away a KRISS Vector, we're going to have 40 winners for this. So the probability that you're going to win something if you participate
4-0
is extremely
40.
high. Yeah, so the grand prize for this drawing is the KRISS Vector. You'll be one of the first people to own it, probably before, I'm not even allowed to buy the first run of it because your demand is so crazy. So you'll have one before me. In addition, though, we're giving away 4 LVOAS AEGs, so those guns retail for over $400. 15 Lilacs barrels for Krytac, but like I said, they're applicable for any AEG out there that'll fit. As well as 20 bottles of BBs. So if you participate in this, you're gonna win something. So what you need to do is buy a Krytac gun from Evike.com, register that gun on our website with your proof of purchase, and give us your serial number, and then we're gonna draw from all the list of participants. To get the Vector, to get the LVOA, you're probably going to win something.
Is that only, and that is the month of February?
The month of February. So yeah, so anybody that buys a gun between now and the end of February, which is the 28th, and registers it on our website, the drawing is going to take place on the 1st of March. So we're going to draw it pretty rapidly. So if you are buying a gun,
or if you already bought one in the month of February, we're already halfway through
give it to
February
us.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure that you go.
I was going to
on to
ask, so
Krytac.
for existing Krytac users, it doesn't really apply. So it would have
Not
to
really.
be a new.
The idea is to go buy a Krytac right now, register it on the website right away, and then on the 1st of March, we'll do the drawing for it.
and you could win one of these.
You could win one of these, or four people are going to win an LVOAS.
So you have
Now, how
5
do they
people
check
getting
in
a
with
prize. It's
you?
really good.
How do they check in with you to know if they won?
We will contact them. So when you register on our website, you'll have to go to Krytac.com/product-registration. You're going to give us all of your contact information, and you better type it in correctly because if
you want to win.
If you want to win, double check to make sure that your email and everything's correct. We will contact the winners via the information that they give us.
Gotcha.
Excellent.
Well, I have one question before we let you go. Continuing, or kind of returning a little bit to the conversation we had at the beginning, and kind of throughout the show, about kind of Japanese airsoft versus American or even European airsoft.
Yeah.
It's called survival games.
Survival games.
Yeah.
So, being that the laws there require a certain cap on power.
Yeah.
Does that present a problem from a manufacturing standpoint, or from a vendor standpoint, for Lilacs and for you guys, carrying Krytac products in Japan that aren't necessarily built originally or designed originally for Japanese specifications or laws?
I'll say that it doesn't present a problem, but it is a challenge to build guns specific for that market. Because anytime you change the internal specifications on a gun, it affects a lot of stuff. So we can't just take the spring out and put a lighter spring in. Then we have a problem. If you use a light poly battery, you're going to overspin your gun. And so a lot of times to modify the FPS to accommodate for the Japanese market, we do a number of things with the compression, with the spring, with the motor. And so it's more than just one part. And I think a lot of people just assume it's one thing.
Yeah, that's what I would just be
Just
like.
swap
Swap that out, but you do
but,
present the problem with the light poly.
There's, and we can't even begin to get into what if they use different types of batteries. So there's a lot of other aspects to consider when you're just changing the FPS on a gun. So it's not really a problem. We're used to doing it because Japan has different specifications in the U.S., different specifications in Canada, different specifications, and so we're used to doing it. Of course, it'd be nice if we could just build one gun for everybody. That would simplify the manufacturing process a lot. But it's not a problem, but it's a challenge, and it's something that. And it's just, unfortunately, something you got to deal with.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, thanks for coming in once again. If you guys aren't following all of Krytac's social media, watch them on Facebook. Check out their Instagram. They post regularly with new updates on their products. You guys are really doing a fantastic job with marketing your really well-made stuff. So we're excited to have you on as usual. for future updates on both their products as well as exciting updates from us here at Evike.com. Make sure you're following our social media. Tune in Friday once again for these awesome giveaway items from the KRISS, Krytac, Lalax, group partnership. Those are coming to you. Tim, thanks again for coming on. If you guys have any future questions, put them in the helm of reasoning by commenting in the section down below. We'll see you guys next time on the Nuts Around Table.
And don't forget to pre-order your Vector from Evike.com.
Yeah.
Shameless plug.
Boom.
See you guys.